Universalist church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise, our souls, oh, arise.
Good morning, All Souls. My name is Sean Lichten, and I'm a member of All Souls. And whether you are here in the room with us or you are watching online, we are very grateful you are here with us this morning. Your presence enriches all of us and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. It's like this large tent with room for all the beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. It is our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice that keep us together. And we seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone, and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. You may be new here this morning. We are very grateful that you are here. May the congregation greet you all by saying, welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today.
Brian, you already broke me. Before I get started, I just want to thank our pianist, Jacob Thomas, for stepping in. Anthony is not here today. He had a really minor surgical procedure. He's just taking extra care of himself right now. It's nothing to worry about. He just didn't want you to have to wonder what was going on. I am the Reverend Erin Dajka Holley, your minister here at All Souls. I returned from my time away this summer having moved residences. Whew. All the boxes. And I scheduled to be back this Sunday, specifically to talk to you prior to Tuesday's primary election. Now, I don't talk about candidates. To do so could, at some point, jeopardize our tax-exempt status. But I am free to talk to you and everybody about political issues. And there are some important issues on all of our ballots this Tuesday. Issues in Kansas and Missouri that will have lasting impacts on our states. Issues that bring to question the nature of inclusive democratic processes. Voting is a spiritual practice, an act of hope put out into the world, an intention to bring about equity and justice. Each ballot, its own little flame for democracy. We gathered this morning to set our intentions, to know that we are not alone in our efforts toward a just and compassionate society. Let us worship together.
These chalice lighting words are from Lisa Garcia Sampson. In these wild, historic, and uncertain times, we gather to remember who we are, who we belong to, and what we are called to do. As we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the great turning, the movement for justice alive in this nation today. May we feel it in our bones and in the stillness of this hour. May we sense it calling our name. Please rise in body or spirit to join in reading our covenant and for the following song. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I would like to invite the young and the young at heart forward. I have a story for you. Come on up. Come on up. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Good morning. Now, before I get started with my story, does anybody know what's special about Tuesday? How about this coming Tuesday, August 4th? There is not something well, no, there is something happening at church, but it is happening by people who are not part of the church, because the church is an election site. People vote here. So there is a primary election on Tuesday. And so there will be people who live nearby who are going to come to our church building so that they can vote.
Yeah, why? For the president?
No, not for the president. It's a primary, so it's complicated. Okay, I understand Taco Tuesday is better than voting, but it might not be as important. So with the thought of voting, where everybody comes together and says, this is what I want, and they collect what everybody says, and whichever answer has the most votes wins. That's a really important part about people being part of our world and helping to make things happen. So I have a story for you about a drop of water named Higgins. This is called Higgins, A Drop with a Dream by Christopher Buse. And, you know, Higgins, he's trying to get people together to make good things happen. So once upon a time, there was a single drop of water named Higgins. Now, Higgins was no ordinary drop of water. He was a drop with a dream. Higgins lived in a valley where it had not rained for a long time. So all the lovely green grass was turning brown, and all the beautiful flowers were wilting. All of the trees were starting to droop. And Higgins had a dream that one day the valley would be a beautiful place again. But what could he do? After all, he was only one drop of water. And one day, Higgins decided to travel and tell others about his dream. All of the other drops listened politely, but no one believed that his dream of a green, beautiful valley would come true. Higgins, said one, "Get your head out of the clouds. You can't spend your whole life dreaming." And Higgins decided that he had to do something to make his dream come true. So he began to think and think and think. One day, as he was walking by a rusty old bucket, he got an idea. He thought, if enough of us drops of water got together in this bucket, there would be enough water to sprinkle on a few flowers to help them grow and become beautiful again. So eagerly, Higgins told everyone his great idea, but everyone thought that he was being foolish. That Higgins is nothing but a dreamer, they said. So Higgins decided he had to do something to convince the others that he was right. So he said to them, "Well, I don't know about you, but I'm getting into the bucket, and I hope some of you will join me. And then there might be enough water to help at least some flowers grow beautiful again." So Higgins ran as hard as he could, hopped way up in the air, and landed with a kerplunk in the bottom of the bucket. And there he sat, just a drop in the bucket. Now, for a long time, Higgins was very lonely. It seemed like no one else was going to join him. But after a while, some of the other drops could see that the grass was dying, and the flowers were wilting, and the trees were drooping, and they all agreed that something must be done. And suddenly, one drop shouted, "I'm going in the bucket with Higgins." And he leaped through the air and landed kerplunk in the bucket. Then two other drops yelled, "Wait for us!" And they hopped through the air and landed in the bucket. Then 10 drops jumped through the air into the bucket. And then 30, then 50, and then hundreds of drops came from all around just to hop in the bucket. And soon, the bucket was completely full of water. But there were still more drops that wanted to join. So they found another bucket and hopped in. And before long, there were 2 buckets of water. And then 3, then 4, then 10, and then hundreds, then thousands of buckets of water. And along came a powerful breeze that blew over all of the buckets, and all of the water flowed together to make a mighty stream. And everywhere the water flowed, the grass turned green again, and the flowers bloomed, and the trees stood tall and straight once more. And all of this happened because Higgins had a dream. And his dream came true because he knew that although he was just a drop in the bucket, enough drops in the bucket make a bucket full. And when there are enough buckets with the wind behind them, then justice will roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. So we come together to be able to work together, no matter how small what a single person can do. When we come together and we work together, we can make the world a beautiful place. So thank you so much for joining me for this story. I hope you have plenty of fun downstairs with all of your activities. Thank you, children. Let us sing them to their classes.
Go now in peace, may love guide all your ways. Beauty be the blessings of your nights and days. Truth on your lips and kindness in your deeds. Faith to follow where the human spirit leads.
I don't know about you guys, but I was cracking up watching the children listen to this story up here. They were having a blast, and I'm very honored to have the privilege to give the invitation to the offering this week as well. So I had a little story I wanted to share, and I want you guys to remember that I was once a kid that sat up here, because I want to give a story from Boston a few years ago, all right? I was such a fun time. And there was this one day that we took this haunted tour of Boston. I don't know if many of you guys got to hear of it. I gotta keep composure here. We took this haunted tour of Boston. It was looking at the supernatural, and we looked at ghost stories of Boston. And we had this tour guide, and his name was Vladimir. He was very eccentric, and he was a great guy. Now, my memory's a little spotty of the stories he gave, but there's this one story that stuck out. Of course, the other details are a little spotty, but when he got to this one part, you will never forget how he was talking about, here's my best impression, the keys were floating in mid-air! And whatever that was on about made sense, but we will never forget that. And it was that one line that stuck with us youth for forever. Now, why am I talking about this? Because the offering will go to the general operating budget. Now, this is one of the ways that your financial contributions could help us. So the offering will now be graciously given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of the offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society. Thank you.
From Human Rights for All Minorities, this is an address delivered to the East and West Association on November 7th of 1945 by W.E.B. Du Bois. Democracy is not merely majority rule based on the fact that the majority has the physical force to prevail. It rests upon the fact that when we have proven knowledge, interpreted through the experience of a large number of individuals, it is possible, through this pooled knowledge and experience, to come to decisions much more fundamental and much more far-reaching than can be had in any other way. The people participating effectively in this pool of democracy must be alive and well. They must know the world in which they are interpreting, and they must know themselves.
This reading is Democracy's Benediction by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Lucas Hergert. We are democracy, unruly, unfinished, unrelenting people of rebellious joy, taking to the streets, underground resilience resisting complacence, the pleasure of activism organizing into simple hope. We are democracy, people of principles taking on principalities, witnessing the worth of those called unworthy, justice just now gaining ground, integrity of interdependent existence, extending living democracy in heads, hands, hearts. We know that democracy can die, ossify, brittle byproducts of bygone idealists, plotting politicians pirating votes, corporations cannibalizing our care for the world. Look, it can wither, distend, come to an end. Democracy, today we will love you alive, make you ours, make you thrive, and vote as though our hope is on the line.
In 1648, 128 years before the Declaration of Independence, the Congregational Churches of New England, the Puritans, codified their practice of the members of the congregations voting on church decisions. It was called the Cambridge Platform because it was first printed in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And over the centuries, from Puritans to Congregationalists to Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists, the highest authority of the church continued to be and continues to be the congregation itself. Hence, congregational polity, congregational governance. Each congregation makes its own decisions, and all congregations are connected to hold one another in check. Decisions belong to the members of the congregation, not to the clergy. One member, one vote. Our Unitarian Universalist values, or Article 2, the statement in the Unitarian Universalist Association's bylaws that define what holds our congregations together, include justice, the value justice. And a part of that section states, we work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive, democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large. We support the use of inclusive, democratic processes. This language of democratic process may be familiar to those of you who have been Unitarian Universalist for several years. Those words were part of the 7 principles, which were in Article 2 of the UUA bylaws from 1985 until 2024. And the idea has carried over into the new language because democracy is so important to our living tradition, dating back 378 years. The version in the new values adds a word: inclusive. Democracy is not enough if only some people are able to vote. Every person, every voice must matter, must have the opportunity to participate in making important decisions that affect everyone. Inclusive democracy makes it possible for everyone to understand the issue. Inclusive democracy makes it possible for everyone to participate by removing barriers like accessibility, transportation, language translation. Inclusive democracy has no disenfranchised voters. Inclusive democracy instills the sentiment that every vote matters. It encourages participation, education, and truth. But you know, that's not the democracy we have. So many measures designed to make it harder to vote, to make it harder to be sure that your vote was even counted, harder to find the truth amid obfuscation. Candidates lie about their intentions. Ads lie about issues. Even the most well-intentioned media uplift what seems newsworthy without paying attention to what the people are saying. And in our states, there have been lawsuits because even the summaries of constitutional amendments that appear on the ballot have hidden the real meaning of the full text. Is it democracy? When those seeking election or leading our governments intentionally lie or skirt the truth, feeding talking points that miss the point, are the elections fair? Is democracy inclusive if the only way to understand what the amendment actually does is to read the bill passed by the legislature, the bill that I struggle to understand fully? I don't believe that it is democracy. W.E.B. Du Bois spoke of proven knowledge and experience among a large group of people as the bedrock of democracy. He said the people participating effectively in this pool of democracy must be alive and well. They must know the world which they are interpreting, and they must know themselves. Effective, inclusive democracy requires an informed electorate that understands what is at play, what amendments actually mean, and how they expect candidates to actually behave once they're in office. Education is essential to effective democracy, and that level of education must be available to everyone if democracy is to be inclusive. And yet, at this time, in this country, in the states of Missouri and Kansas, leaders seek to make democracy less inclusive, to deny education, to deny the clear, true, complete information about the issues on the ballot. Take, for instance, Amendment 5 to the Missouri Constitution. You knew where I was going. The language appearing on the ballot seems straightforward and as if though it's maybe designed to lower taxes, require legislative phase-out of the individual state income tax based on revenue growth, and authorize the expansion of sales and use taxes, curtail constitutional limits on taxing goods and services, and require local tax rate cuts without reducing school funding if local sales tax revenue increases. What does this not say? It doesn't say the progressive income tax was instituted to limit taxation on those who can least afford it by applying a higher rate to those who can afford it. Now, we all dislike income tax because it takes money out of our paychecks, requires us to file annually. We see it on our pay stubs. We feel the pinch if we have to suddenly pay more when we file our taxes. And filing itself, complicated, frustrating. But it's equitable. Just a reminder, equity is also one of our UU values. It's the idea that different people have different needs and situations. Keeping everything equal actually hurts some people. So we make equitable rules and laws that take differences into account. Now, my family, we have an income level that means we don't struggle to make ends meet. We have more money than we need to survive comfortably. So it's absolutely fair for us to pay a higher income tax rate than those who do struggle. By paying a lower income tax rate, families that have a harder time meeting living expenses have more of their income available to pay the bills. It's fair. It's equitable. Sales tax is not equitable because everyone pays the same rate on items that are taxed. I pay the same amount of tax on laundry detergent as someone living in poverty. We both need laundry detergent, especially, I don't know, this month or last month. So that's just not equitable. And Amendment 5 allows the legislature to tax anything It decides it wants to tax in order to increase tax revenue. If the goal is to eliminate the income tax by making up the difference with sales and use taxes, we can expect that lots of things not currently taxed will become taxed. And we don't even know what legislatures have in mind. It's not what we're voting on. It is possible that they could tax medical appointments. They could tax prescriptions. They could tax services like plumber calls, barber and salon appointments. They could tax rent and mortgages. 63% of Missouri's general income comes from income taxes. In order to eliminate the income tax, the state will need to tax many more goods and services at high rates to make up that difference. And the way in which the legislature proposes to do this favors the wealthy. As everyone pays a lot more in non-equitable set rate taxes on sales and services, the cuts to the income tax rates start with the highest rate. So wealthy families may actually see their tax burden decrease, while everyone else is still paying the same amount of income tax while also being charged a lot more in sales tax. For most Missourians, the tax burden will increase. Not just while we wait for the income tax reduction to eliminate it, but because sales taxes aren't progressive. Everyone pays the same rate no matter their income level. This process for phase-out isn't equitable at all. It isn't even equal. Everything about this is highly unfair, and the state has obfuscated this at every turn. Although the courts did not block this amendment from appearing on the ballot, they did insist that the ballot language be changed to be a little bit more clear what it means. I would argue it's still not clear, since it doesn't explain that this would increase the tax burden on most people. And the ads obfuscate it more, making this sound like a great deal for everyone. Now, Amendment 4 makes it nearly impossible to pass a citizen initiative constitutional amendment. These constitutional amendments brought through the people, through petition, have done wonderful things for the state. One, banned the legislature from imposing any new sales or use taxes, which Amendment 5 seeks to repeal. We made that happen. The legislature wants to undo it. Another, legalized marijuana. We have access to full reproductive health care right now because of a citizen initiative. The people amended the Constitution to expand Medicaid. As politics in this state have shifted to consolidate power in the hands of white Christian nationalists who deny the government's role in supporting everyone's ability to thrive, the legislature has passed many laws that a majority of Missourians do not support. And they are neglecting to pass laws that a majority of Missourians do support. And so in such a situation, the citizen initiative is one of the only tools left to us, the people. Amendment 4 makes it seem as though only a tiny number of people with very little effort can put an initiative onto the ballot, which then passes with a slight majority. And it is true that the constitutional amendments have recently been passing with just over 50% of the votes, 51%, 53%, but it doesn't take into consideration when they try to argue that people who aren't in the cities don't have a voice. That to get the initiative onto the ballot at all requires collecting signatures from at least 8% of the people who voted in the previous election for governor in at least 6 of the 8 congressional districts. So the smallest number of signatures necessary is 170,215. And while the required number from each district differs, we're talking about at least 25,000 unique registered voter signatures from each of 6 districts. This isn't something that can be done with only the support of Kansas City and St. Louis. Organizers must collect a not inconsequential number of signatures from 3/4 of the state's congressional districts. Talking to and convincing people in rural areas is utterly necessary. That is statewide work and statewide support. And this amendment, Amendment 4, would allow for the disagreement of a mere 6% of the people who actually voted in the election to nix the whole thing. 94% of voters could support an initiative, and still it could fail. It also makes it much less expensive to defeat an initiative amendment. Those who are against it could focus all of their resources and ads in just one district, the one with the cheapest ads, and be able to stop the measure. This isn't one person, one vote. It is explicit minority rule, and it is the most extreme anti-citizen initiative measure in the country. No other state has anything like this. And don't forget, this changes nothing about passing constitutional amendments proposed by the legislature. That's still a simple majority, no contingencies. Lawmakers, and they didn't even have to get petitions signed. Lawmakers who support Amendment 4 talk about creating consensus statewide before amending the Constitution. The legislature doesn't need consensus. It's a double standard designed to maintain power in the hands of the minority. Now, the constitutional amendment in Kansas isn't as straightforward through a consideration of inclusive democratic processes. I see you, Kansas people. The Kansas amendment ends the Supreme Court nomination process that is already in place. The current process involves a nominating commission, which nominates 3 judges presented to the governor, who appoints who will then become the next Supreme Court justice. Now, on the surface, turning this into a democratic vote, now that's a win for the democratic process, right? More democracy. Put these important decisions up for a vote of the people. Judges choose to run, they campaign, and there's a vote, democracy. When we consider effective, inclusive democracy, however, we remember the necessity of an educated, informed, careful electorate. And money in politics consistently gets in the way. Currently, there is no money involved in Kansas Supreme Court justice selection. No one campaigns, no one smears one another. Judges can concentrate on making fair, careful decisions based on the law. If they have to campaign, making popular judgments becomes more important if they want to keep their job. This issue is complicated, and it brings to light that struggle for our current system with money, ads, obfuscation, gerrymandering, and lies to serve as an actual democracy. With careful manipulation tactics and enough money, how easily are voters convinced to vote in ways that do not further their communities. Voting is a spiritual practice. It is central to our faith, and it must be central in our hearts and actions. I will always tell you to bring your values into the voting booth. I will always tell you to learn as much as you can and bring critical thinking to all of the information you find. I will always tell you to listen to one another, to consider together, to wrestle with the questions. Because spiritual practices are about intention. And so I invite you to identify your intentions, your core, what you believe in, and choose based on that reflection. What is true and right in the voting booth? And of course, consider voting a sacred ritual of our faith. Just like we light the chalice, just as we use water to come together in the fall, ingathering is September 13th, and flowers to rejoice in the spring. We vote because our faith has a long history of democracy, one worth continuing. Let's remember the words of the poet Lucas Hergert. We are democracy, unruly, unfinished, unrelenting people of rebellious joy, taking to the streets, underground resilience, resisting complacence, the pleasure of activism organizing into simple hope. We are democracy, people of principles taking on principalities, witnessing the worth of those called unworthy, justice, just now gaining ground, integrity of interdependent existence, extending living democracy in heads and hands and hearts. We know that democracy can die, ossify, brittle byproducts of bygone idealists, plotting politicians, pirating votes, corporations cannibalizing our care for the world. Look, it can wither, distend, come to an end. Democracy. Today, we will love you alive, make you ours, make you thrive, and vote as though our hope is on the line. May it be so. Please rise in body or spirit and let us sing the song, The Fire of Commitment.
Guiding hands and hearts and spheres.
release this flame, but not, oh, I don't have the words up there. It's called perimenopause. Huh? But not the fire of commitment, the warmth of community, and the spirit of justice. Be with us until we are together again. See, we can work together. Now, these words. Democracy. On Tuesday, we will love you alive, make you ours, make you thrive, and vote as though our hope is on the line. Go in peace.